Yo, welcome back. It is the next day after I posted yesterday's video of the satellite being a nightmare, and it's a good thing I just went ahead and posted it, even though it was just one thing after another, because the internet came in clutch, which, like I said before, I don't know everything. I appreciate you guys that help me out and tell me things that I didn't know. And one of the main things, one of the things I just took care of that literally took maybe 15 seconds was the belt. So, shout out to a subscriber that was like, hey, route the belt like this, like ICT part number dot 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 tells you to do. And so I did some very minimum researching, and I saw that this $55 bracket from Amazon is the same exact bracket that ICT sells for 200 something. And so I went to ICT and I looked at how they tell you to route the belt, and look at that. So now we can put the car intake back on for the 8,000th time. I just want to punch a fat kid in the back. So, there we go. We got the belt taken care of, which it might be a better routing setup anyways, because I did notice before I came to swap it that this had come off the tensioner pulley. The belt had come off the tensioner pulley about halfway, so that probably means that the belt routing the way it was definitely not good, which most likely it was because the belt ran from here all the way over here, and that was just too long for it to be straight like that. It didn't have enough tension kind of pushing it down and keeping it on the tensioner. Basically, that's what the idler pulley does, is it keeps tension on the belt and it keeps everything close together to keep the belt in place. So now we got that taken care of. So the first thing we're going to do is unhook all of this, put the car intake back on because it was very pretty. And then I got the radiator coming today. I got to paint that though. Today's going to be the last warm day. It's supposed to get up to low 80s, which is why I'm back in flip-flops. But after today, that's it. It's winter time technically after today, so luckily the radiator's the last thing I got to paint. So, oh, look. My transmission cooler's mounted. So, there's that. I got some exhaust tape. I have another adapter, V-band adapter deal that I could replace right here where I had to do all the welding and stuff because of the hole. But I'm going to smack this on there. No, you're going on there, little buddy. You're going on there whether you like it or not. I'm going to slap that on there and call it good for now, because if I make some money soon, I'm going to redo the entire exhaust. I'm not a fan of how the exhaust is. It has 8 million pinholes in the exhaust from the pipe that's already there all the way through the glass packs, all the way to the all the way to the tailpipes. There's pinholes everywhere. So I'm not wasting any more time on the exhaust. I just need it to just be there and not be so goddamn loud. I mean, gosh dang loud. I apologize. That fuse relay is coming in, so I can put that in. Oh, let me show you. So, check this out. This was actually the main thing I should have started with, is about 5 minutes after I finished yesterday's video and the battery wasn't clicking, or the battery was just clicking. I'm too antsy because I have all the fixes for everything today. The starter was just clicking, and I thought it was a bad starter. Well, I took that starter and I manually did it to where you just put power on the big post and then a ground and whatnot, and it worked perfectly. So I didn't need a starter because the starter wasn't the issue. What had happened was Now I'm gonna change this. This isn't how you want to do it, but it worked. But down here, so you get out. This is your best friend always when it comes to wiring. I got that out, and I wasn't getting power at the starter at the red wire. And I was like, okay. So I came in here. But I was getting power right here. I was getting power right here. I was getting power back here. So I just went up the line, and I wasn't getting power in this area. Long story short, where is it? Did I throw it away already? Long story short, where I had it spliced up here originally had completely melted through. And yeah, I guess I threw it away already. And basically the wire was junk right there. So a very big thing that you can't skimp out on, and you know I'm the guy that will skimp out if I can. If you are running your battery in the trunk, especially in a boat, you want to have 0 gauge wire. You want 0 gauge wire running from the battery post to the starter. I have 0 gauge wire from here to the battery, but all I had left was this 4 gauge wire because I had already made the starter wire previously when I had the battery in the engine bay. The issue isn't so much, I mean it is, it's 50-50. The issue, obviously, the farther you run a positive wire, the thicker the wire you want. So you want 0 gauge from the battery all the way to the starter. I had all this leftover 4 gauge, and I was like, I just need wire there. Well, it got me. So I got actual crimps coming for 0 gauge wire. I got this 0 gauge wire, so I'm going to run 0 gauge wire probably to about there. And then 4 gauge to the starter, which is a much shorter length. And that will be fine once I put the crimps on it. But let me show you. Imagine that. The starter works now. So I am going to put car intake on, slap this on the exhaust pipe. Oh look, I ordered water pump bolts for 1 water pump bolt. That look, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but I think there's a 5th dimension going on in this engine bay because that water pump bolt is gone. I mean, it legitimately, I think it just fell through the earth because I looked everywhere in this realm. I was right here when it dropped. It dropped right here. And it is gone. It's not in any crevice anywhere hiding. It is gone. So basically what that means is it's actually hiding somewhere. And when I'm doing 90 on the highway, it'll fall out and bust somebody's windshield behind me. Sorry, my bad. Shit happens. But okay, let's put this intake on and hopefully be done. And then once the drive shaft gets here, it can test drive because I'm tired of this grandpa. I got to get on that Chevy truck, and we're just Justin. Isn't that right, Jeff? Okay. I just installed the new coolant crossover because I tried to use the truck coolant crossover when I had the car intake on there originally, and it did not work. So then I had it installed when I had the truck intake on because obviously it worked. Well, luckily I ordered one of the Amazon coolant crossovers, so I got that on. Time to put this back on for the 80,000th time. anything's getting crushed, it's not my fault. Okay, so it has been a little bit while later, and I've really just been waiting on Amazon parts, and one did show up, which is the radiator. Now, it is painted, it is clear coated, and it is the wrong one. So, this is a 22-inch wide radiator, not the 26-inch wide like Amazon said it was. And I was like, of course. But then I realized with it being shorter, that means I can move it more to one side, which means I'm going to move it more this way. And I can bolt it in here. And that will give me room. That'll give me room over here on the passenger side to have fresh air hold on. Okay. That'll give me room on the passenger side to have fresh air come through this gap now that I have in the core support, not being blocked by anything. Which means I'm going to pull these horns off because they don't work anyway. I mean, I'm sure they work if it was hooked up, but it's not hooked up. So I'm going to remove these horns, and I'm going to have the air intake come and sit right here rather than over here, because like I mentioned, there would be hot air, but I wasn't worried about it because there's nowhere else to put it, blah, blah, blah. And then a buddy of mine on Facebook who also commented on the post with his LS swap charger, he tried to put it here, and he had insane engine temps at idle, sitting still, and he moved it way over here, but I can't do that because my intake sits lower than the radiator hose, and I would have to, the intake would have to come way up to go over the hose, and I can't go down because the hose is in the way there too. So I have to come this way, and now I'll be able to fit it right here in this pocket where air will flow through the core support and the grill right into it. So it actually worked out that it's not the correct radiator. And I also, to mount it on this side, since it's not wide enough, I got a little metal bracket that I'm just gonna mount here that'll hold it up. And these two will line up in the factory spots, and these two will just be, or this side, the two bolts that mount it on this side will just have brackets to mount it to the core support. So we're good there. I'm probably going to move the transmission cooler over some so that it's more in the center with the fan, so that the fan is pulling air through the transmission cooler also at the same time as the radiator. Other than that, I like it, Picasso. So I got to spray paint the bracket real quick, and then we'll do the radiator hoses, and then we'll put coolant in it, and then when we try to fire it up, I went ahead and put the throttle body on because I think I just said this because I want to hear it run, hopefully. And that bracket, the throttle cable bracket that goes behind the throttle body and bolts in, isn't going to be here till tomorrow. So I'm going to paint that bracket real quick, and then we will move on. Ah, I got my crimps, so I can do the big starter wire. Not my crimps, my butt connectors. Kobe. Oh, it's my relay. So, this is the relay I'm going to put on the firewall right there. How you doing? Good looking. So, I can't get off from there. So, just a nice little relay with fuses to go right there. I'm not going to do that yet. I want to hear it run. Also because I moved my key on power. I got it. I can't tell you how I got it, where I got it, what's going on, because it's a secret. But the way it's getting power is I'm running it to the fuse block, the factory fuse block at the accessory port, or at the accessory spot, it's not a port. That way it has key on power and it has key on cranking power too, but it should get 12 volts while cranking. It shouldn't drop down. We'll find out. I don't remember exactly how I had the CUDA wired up. I had a fuse block in here just like this one, and I had wires running to it, but I do not for the life of me remember what wires those were going to. But I can about 77.2398764321 8765309. Guess that one of them was my key on power that constantly got 12 volts from the fuse block. So, radiator. My bracket's getting painted. Alright, it's not 8 million degrees, so we're gonna make it 8 million degrees. I'm finished. I like it, Picasso. Bars. If you can't tell, I'm losing my mind. Also, I know ahead of time that this aftermarket radiator would have a much bigger lower port on the bottom on the passenger side. So I went to O'Reilly's and got another one that had a much bigger port, because you can fight them on there, but it is a pain. So all I got to do is cut this one probably about right here, and we'll be good. I have to trim it here and here. Now, let's do the electric fan. I like it, Picasso. Hey, I'm also using the space to get in here. Look at there. Oh my gosh. Pink 86. Well, let me get the horns out of here first. Pink 86. Green 85. All right, relay, cooling fan, done. Remounted transcooler, done. Obviously, air intake, done. Look at that. Look at that. I just had to move the relay down. The relay was right here, but I just moved it down. That I was able to put it in there. Coolant in the radiator, nothing leaking. Mostly zip tied, cleaned up out of the way. I'll probably reconfigure all that, but plenty good enough now. Everything is ready to go. There is coolant. There's power steering fluid, I think. No, I need to put more power steering fluid in there. So, basically what I'm saying is, let's start it and see if she runs. How about we connect the battery first? That might help do some things. Everything's on, so it should. Okay, that was weird. My phone just randomly cut off. Okay. Ignition on. Power. Everything. Don't die. Okay, obviously, we got a sweet battery. Good news. The starter isn't making any weird noises. Okay, take 37. All right. I'm gonna have to move that power wire. I'm gonna have to move that power wire I'm getting power from my pink wire to the relay. Or the ECU relay, yeah. So let me do all that real quick. Okay, I got it. I got it running out here to where all these other 12 volt spots are, or wires are, that need to be run to this, but I think this is going to be too small now. Maybe, yeah. Well, yeah. So I might end up keeping that relay, but just taking this wire and this wire off of it and running it to this, and then from here back to this post with this 4 gauge wire, 1 gauge wire, 4 gauge. Yeah, we'll see. But anyways, I got it all wired up. Now, can we hear it run this time? Take 4,782. Oh, brother. Okay, now I'm getting pissed off like I did yesterday. Come on. There we go. It runs once again, but it ain't gonna charge if I can't keep the belt on. I assume I just need a smaller belt. That's a 78 inch. I don't know why it's slipping off. Everything is in line, it seems. Oh, okay, maybe not that idler pulley. Okay, I got a little spacer on it. I can take that off real quick and check. Well, I got her on there, and that was insanely hard. I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to get a belt about an inch longer. That's a 78 inch. Probably need a 79 inch. But yeah, we got it on there. Didn't take much. Yeah, okay. Anyways. So, let's see if it flies off now. And if it does, I'm done messing with it, because it's just going to need a little bit bigger belt. That is stupid tight. It even has the tensioner all the way this way. It's completely bottomed out for as far as you can loosen the tensioner. And you want the tensioner to kind of go this way when the belt is on, because that keeps the tension on it. So, good chance it'll probably fly off again, but let's see. Okay. I might need to start the Impala to give it some juice. I think I heard it come off again. Yeah. Okay, well, that's it for tonight. I'm gonna go take care of this, and I'll see y'all mañana. You didn't help me at all. That was all me. So, let's take in the exhaust fumes. Just there we go. Of course, AN fitting line leaking. Surprise, surprise. What's new around here? But how you like them apples? So this belt is still going to get changed. Sorry, not the belt. The belt obviously wasn't the issue. The tensioner is, because I can watch this. There's no tension. I literally forced it all the way back easily, and that puts the tension down on it, which, I mean, is fine. But that's just a sign of a bad tensioner, which isn't surprising because that's been in the attic for who knows how long. The belt is starting to slip off the water pump, so I think the issue is the tensioner isn't aligned. You see how the belt's going it's going that way and not that way. I think the tensioner is too far out, which would be a simple fix. You would just grind these down. I have no idea what that tensioner came off of, but I'm sure it came off of a truck water pump. And that is not a truck water pump, obviously. So I have a manual tensioner coming today from Amazon. Oh, looky there. Pop goes the weasel. I have a manual tensioner coming in, and coming on nothing. No diddy. Hey, yo. I gotta fix that AN PTFE line, and then I gotta do the power wire, and that will complete the swap because it runs great. Exhaust is trash. There's so many leaks from my not so well done welded hole, which like I said, I could replace just that piece because I have one in the attic, but I don't care enough. I want a full 3-inch exhaust, 2.5 inch at the least, but 3-inch would be ideal. So yeah, I have a distribution block coming. It's going to be a 4-post distribution block, and then I might still use this just for the switch on power for where'd the wire go? Where'd you go, little buddy? There you go. I might just use it for this one and just run it to one of these. I don't know. We'll see when that gets here. I got Subway to eat, and Amazon's not going to get here for like another 4 hours. So I got plenty of time to chitty chitty bang bang. You know, get it? Plenty of time to kill? Okay, whatever. Anyways, oh, big thing on the radiator. I can't blame Amazon. It was definitely my fault because I went back to the listing that I ordered and it literally said right in front of my face, 22-inch wide. I'm just a boy. What I did wrong was I didn't save before I decided to order it. I had the correct one pulled up days ago and it was a 26-inch wide and I didn't save it or anything. That's where I messed up. And then when I said F it and I was like, I'm just going to order one, I just went to the first one it showed me and was like, oh, that's it. Because I just assumed it was the only one, but it obviously wasn't. It's the same brand, 2 different sizes. Long story short, I got the wrong one. It might have worked out. We'll see when we actually get to driving it and look at air intake temps. But to be honest with you, I don't care about air intake temps. It ain't my problem. It's the intake's problem. It ain't got nothing to do with me. So let's take on some of. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna eat that. No diddy. And then we will be back to finishing this up. Drive shaft is not going to be here until Tuesday. Today is Friday. So, no point in stringing this video out, waiting 7 days until Tuesday comes around. So, okay. I'm going to go eat now, and then we'll be back to this car and all the BS I've been dealing with every single day. 8 hours a day. Tell your mom to call me. I miss her. I bet she misses me more. Okay, it has been 3-ish hours since you just saw me, and I've did some things. Let's start with the wiring. I got it rewired. I'm not going to put that under here with the other wires. I'm going to keep that, and it's just going to lay under the carpet, just in case. I got to get to it quickly, which kind of doesn't make any sense because the carpet's going to be held down by the door, that trim anyways, so yeah. And then we got some power block going on, feeding the relay, and that relay. That way all of those terminals aren't just on this one big old relay. So that's power to the harness power that typically goes on the big post of the starter. And then I have that on a block too. And then running down here. And that's going to that block. And that's getting power from here, which is coming from the battery. And then, no, sorry, this one's coming from the battery. No, I don't remember. This one is the big one right here. And then, yeah, this one should be getting power from the battery. And then that's sending power to the relay. That's my ignition key on while cranking power. And then that's also sending power to that relay, which is then sending power to that wire, which powers up the entire car's fuse block. Did you get that? No, because I'm an idiot, don't know how to explain it. And then I moved on to the tensioner. I ordered a tensioner from Amazon. It's a manual tensioner, a manual, and I had to chop it up. So this is set up for a truck water pump, which the truck water pump takes a longer. These holes are these spacer type deals are longer, so I had to chop them down so that I could get the pulley to line up with everything else, and then I had to chop it under here so that it would go back far enough and not hit the water pump. That's what this dilly is. That's the bottom, what would be the bottom bolt on the truck pump. And then I just did a new power steering line. And don't worry, we didn't leak much. So now, theoretically, I should be able to just put the intake back on, start her up, and video is complete. That would actually technically make the swap complete too. That would make the swap 100% done because the drive shaft has nothing to do with the swap. Getting it in and running is the swap. I've just been bringing you all along through the BS that we've been dealing with. So let me set y'all up, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see what I gotta do next. I'm so worn out. My hands are so done. So let me set you up and let's get to that. Okay. This should be it. Okay. Everybody, places. That belt pops off one more time, I'm gonna get my 9 and pop off. Do you understand? Do you hear me, Jeff? I know you heard me. Okay. And there you have it. The LS swap is finally done. What you saw there, that's bleeding the air. That's how I bleed the air out of the cooling system. All those bubbles and everything coming up is good. I was watching the temperature. We got up to 225. That was when I shut it off. Most of the time, I like to crack the coolant crossover ports on the heads. I like to crack them open and do that. And when you start getting water come out of the heads, that's when you're where you want to be. Because 99.9% of the time, the air pockets that are in the system are in the heads. So you kind of just go to the head and take care of it there. I learned on the Torino, I just randomly did it, just kind of like, oh, wonder what would happen if I did this. I took the water hose, and I didn't have the coolant crossover in yet, and I just stuck the water hose and let it run into the head where the coolant crossover goes, and filled up the heads with water. And I didn't have to do any of this. It just bled itself, I guess. But there's more to do there, obviously, but for this one, we are done. The swap is done 100%. There's no major leaks. I fixed power steering. That was my fault, but not my fault. No oil leaking, no coolant leaking. We do got some lifter chatter, but we're gonna keep an eye on that. And by keep an eye on that, I mean take it straight to 7,500 RPMs and see what happens. So appreciate you watching. The next one will either be drive shaft and test drive, or suspension and then drive shaft, test drive. I don't know. We'll see. But appreciate y'all watching. I will see you on the next one.